Hello, welcome to JIBRIN Angle on Weleka TV. My name is JIBRIN, and this is my angle. Thank you once again for joining us together with Barrister Austin Manta. We shall be talking about several topics that has to do with both Nigeria and global. Today, we shall be focusing mostly on the United Nations speeches actually given by three specific people. We shall expand on that of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu and Nigeria as well. I think a Kenyan president did a speech that actually aroused my curiosity. We may be touching on that. I'm not sure yet. Okay, all right. Let's go into the nitty-gritty of what we have for today. Let's start with Barrister. Let's talk about Trump issue, the safety issue that aroused, that actually took occurred at the United Nations. I don't know if you are aware of it. So the one that happened while he and his wife was actually going, trying to step on the lift. They were actually on the lift already, the elevator. Are you aware of that?
Definitely. When the escalator had issue, and
Okay.
he said nearly, if they had not been clutching the distance, both himself and his wife would have fallen.
Let me play. Okay, let me play the video. So we just few seconds video.
What happened with Chuck Schumer?
Are you going to push Zelensky for peace, President Trump?
Just look at.
All I got from the United Nations was an
escalator. Let me play that again, because if not the listing, just watch. See, if not that the first lady had her balance, the wife had her balance. Otherwise, the thing if you notice, watch again. If you notice, she almost lost her balance.
Zelensky for peace, President Trump.
You see?
All I got from the
and remember, Donald Trump is almost 80, about 79 years old, and such thing happened to him. Okay. Now look, let's finish it. See what happened thereafter. The first lady immediately. She's a bold woman. I am telling you. We'll talk about this because I just praise her courage. Very, very bold, fearless, or whatever. Because okay.
And the
second one again, teleprompter.
These are the two things that we're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the two things I got from the United Nations: a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Big trouble, obviously. The big trouble. So all right. That's what he said. But Donald Trump said whoever operated both the teleprompter and obviously the lift is in big trouble. Our Barrister. Now, before I do that, let me read one. This for you to I don't know. Do you agree with me that that was a premeditated act? Someone did that. That was deliberate, including the teleprompter.
Well, one cannot be 100% sure, but the possibility that it was deliberate is very high.
Okay, let me read one article to you for you to understand that that was deliberate. There was something that came out on Sunday. This thing happened, was it on Thursday or Wednesday? Something happened. There was an article that happened that they fantasized exactly this article in the Times of London. Actually fantasized exactly what happened to Donald Trump about this elevator.
I already read that short.
Okay, all right, you already read that. That's to tell you that that was premeditated. You know, this teleprompter thing, you know, before they always give them, the people in charge of the teleprompter, they always give them these speeches ahead of time. You know that, right? They give them this speech ahead of time to prepare, to put it in the system and prepare for the president over there. So they already read everything, saw exactly, knew what Donald Trump was going to say behind the scene. So they just did this to actually embarrass the president. That was very, 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 very bad of them. The first lady, I just that thing made me to even love her more. She's a woman I just love so much, and that made me. In fact, you can imagine under normal circumstances, President Trump is the most, let me use this word, most wanted person by assassins. If they can just take him out, he is, I believe right now they must have put a huge price on him to take him down. I'll give you reasons. We have so many things to talk about him today. I'll give you so many reasons why I think so. As a result of that, and he knows that the intelligence has given him that information. He is aware of that. And for such thing to just happen, it's unusual. It's a crime for you to impede the movement of the president of the United States. I don't know for other countries, but in their law, it's a very, very serious crime to impede the movement of the president. For you to do such a thing, and the first lady, of course, they will have such thing at the back of their mind, that such thing happens suddenly. Of course, all that normal circumstances is supposed to be a kind of panic. Now there was no panic from the first lady. Very courageous. Before that thing happened, she got hold of herself immediately, as if she pretended nothing. She didn't take offense and just started walking manually, and the president followed suit as well. I was surprised that the Secret Service, such thing happened. The Secret Service, there was no, because again, it took them 9 seconds. That thing took exactly 9 seconds. 9 seconds, such thing happened. That is, it's against the training of the secret, especially the United States Secret Service. Such thing, for something to impede the walking or the movement of the president, and for 9 seconds, the Secret Service stood their ground. They didn't know, there was no reaction. Nothing. You saw the man following, obviously people following him behind. Some of the men in suits, a man, I think about 2 of them or thereabout, following, obviously their Secret Service. I didn't see any kind of any activity, any action to actually be proactive in case this thing was something that had to do with the threat to the president's life. Barrister, what do you think about that? Briefly, because we have so much.
A great possibility that this was a deliberate act to embarrass President Trump. If he fell down, and he and the wife fell down, it will be the talk of the town. It will be all over the waves, the social media, everywhere. Jest will be made of him. And I think that was the intended this thing, to screech the escalator, so that if they were not holding on to the rails of the escalator, they certainly would have fallen down.
Yeah.
And they would have now gone to town with it. What I want to say is that this escalator, this is a United Nations building.
Yes.
And it's under the control and management of United Nations personnel.
Yes.
And even though the Secret Service goes with the president, the people that actually manage the escalator and the building are United Nations employees. And I believe that is where I strongly support the motion or the notion that it was deliberate. Within the United Nations, you know why, the hatred.
We'll talk about that,
Trump,
obviously. Yes.
That is very apparent, just below the surface.
Yes.
And even some people openly make it. So I'm not surprised. And then the article you are talking about, I think London Times, that
Yes.
sort of said something similar before it happened, shows that there was some planning to it somehow. Trump has called for an investigation. I hope the United Nations will do an investigation.
You know who Trump is now. If you don't attach importance to that, especially when even if he didn't want to take it serious, but because of the first lady, obviously we take it seriously.
Now, if those 2 incidents had worked, it would have been a terrible embarrassment for him if he had fallen down with the wife, and if he was not able to do a speech when the teleprompter stopped.
Yes.
You know how that he could have jumbled if it's not Trump, if it's not somebody else, if it was Joe Biden, for
I'm
instance,
telling you, would have,
he
yes,
could
it would
have
have just
stumbled
disorganized
on
him.
wars here and there.
Correct.
He could have become confused.
Yes.
So those two incidents would have overshadowed whatever Trump was going
That's
to
exactly
say
what they wanted.
at the United Nations, and I believe that was the target. That was
the
the
intention. Yes.
intended result that they wanted. By a combination of those two items, they will just overrule whatever he was going to say and make a jest and caricature of him at the United Nations.
Yeah.
Fortunately, neither of them worked. They were
Yeah.
able to do the escalator. They were able to go up, and then Trump can make a speech
Without a teleprompter.
without
That's it.
a
He's good at that.
teleprompter. And it also happened. So we thank God for that. But at least it is an incident that I believe Trump will make sure it does not reoccur.
Of
it does
course,
not
definitely.
happen again.
Just like you said, whoever was responsible is in trouble. I am telling you, that is if they don't even take that person, if they don't even prosecute that obviously they will, I assure you, because the law of the US is there, is very explicit about that. You just don't do that to the president of the United States.
The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action. Now, after ending all of these wars and also earlier negotiating the Abraham Accords, which is a very big thing for which our country received no credit, never receives credit. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. But for me, the real prize will be the sons and daughters who live to grow up with their mothers and fathers, because millions of people are no longer being killed in endless and unglorious wars. What I care about is not winning prizes, it's saving lives. We saved millions and millions of lives with the 7 wars. And we have others that we're working on, and you know that. Many years ago, a very successful real estate developer in New York, known as Donald J. Trump, I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember it so well. I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything. I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you terrazzo. I'm going to give you the best of everything. It was going to cost them a fortune. And I said, and wait till you see the overruns. Well, I turned out to be right. They had massive cost overruns and spent between $2 and $4 billion on the building and did not even get the marble floors that I promised them. Unfortunately, many things in the United Nations are happening just like that, but on an even much bigger scale, much, much bigger. Very sad to see. Whether the UN can manage to play a productive role, I've come here today to offer the hand of American leadership and friendship to any nation in this assembly that is willing to join us in forging a safer, more prosperous world.
All right, Barrister, you had that. There are so many criticism. We'll be going on into that, but this is one of them. You had what he said. The corruption in the UN has not. It's been long there. The truth is, we don't know what UN. The purpose of UN has been defeated. I don't know. Right now there is a loud cry from the public in the US for UN for United States to pull out of the UN. That UN is basically useless. The purpose of the UN is to actually make peace, to circumvent the war, to make sure war does not happen. If war eventually takes place, to bring the both sides together and make peace. But since the inception of UN, what has been happening? Their basic purpose has been thwarted. All they do is to foment trouble. All they do is to sponsor wars. All they do is to instigate instigate trouble between countries because they are making money out of it. So it is basically the opposite. That is what, if you go through that the Donald Trump speech, you will he was very, very blunt, very critical, very direct. You can see nobody. That will tell you how much he is hated. Nobody, even the most insignificant president of a nation, make speech and the United Nations, you seek some kind of clap. He will always make a point that will attract applause from the audience, because United Nations is a place where presidents just go and give them and be politically correct, say what everybody wants to hear, because most of them are establishment. United Nations is where the establishment controls the non-established establishment presidents of other nations. Sort of from the beginning to the end, everywhere, the entire the cameras were showing the faces of you could see their faces were so gloomy. No single applause. This guy, because from the beginning to the end, it was a blistering criticism of the UN. He really, really rebuked them. Very blunt. Nobody has ever done this to the United Nations. So, of course, all of them, they were so angry with they put on gloomy face here and there, or whatever. You can imagine the kind of corruption. So many years ago, he bidded for the renovation of United Nations. His submission was was about 500 million dollars, he said. Now you can imagine, as against others, that they awarded the job. One of the companies they awarded the job to got it at almost, I think about, say, between 2 and 4 billion. Can you imagine the difference? And in his own bill, in his own quotation, he was supposed to, he offered to actually give the marble floor. But the one for the 4 billion actually didn't give, after the whole renovation or whatever, the one for the 4 billion didn't even give them marble, they give them terrazzo floor. Barrister, I don't know. This United Nations, do you think the United Nations should still remain?
Well, you have to look at the history of the United Nations, the transition from the League of Nations to the United Nations post Second World War. The ideas for which the nations came together to have the United Nations Charter to prevent wars and to maintain world peace. These are the overriding concerns. But in that charter, there were certain provisions that make it very difficult for this peace to be maintained. For instance, the inviolability of borders, in some cases colonially set, in some cases by acts of war and others. All these borders, some of them mostly artificial, separating one ethnic group in one country and in the other country. All these things, the United Nations stamp and say, leave this situation as it is. So it was from inception, even though the ideas was very high, the seeds of problem and the seeds of disagreement were sown right from day one. Because if there's injustice, which you say, let's maintain it, it's going to cause problem. Those problems have been manifesting in Korea, in Vietnam, presently in Russia, between Russia and Ukraine, in Africa, where you have between two countries, one tribe on one country, the other part of the tribe on the other country, yet you do not want them to bring them together. But I have been opposed to, when I was initially, when I was a student who was shouting Marxism and this thing, I opposed the permanent membership of 5 countries who have veto power.
Yeah.
As I continue to grow older and examine the situation, I think there is wisdom in that permanent membership with veto power. Why do I say this? Look at African countries. We have never demonstrated maturity. The African countries, that now campaign, like the vice president was saying, let's give Africa,
we will talk about that. Yeah.
They say give Africa a permanent seat on the Security Council. So also other countries in Asia and elsewhere. But we in Africa, we have never demonstrated the maturity that goes with that kind of responsibility. We are reasoning more emotionally than factually and justiciably. So the United Nations, from day one, the seeds of failure were there, and over time, corruption and manipulation has ruined any reasonable chance that the United Nations can fulfill its high goals that were set from the beginning. That is maintaining world peace. They have not maintained peace.
Now, you know, yeah, but you see, the problem is this issue of the difficulty to maintain peace. You just alluded to. I've never seen it that to be a challenge, because United Nations is very strong if they decide to do what they are meant to do. But because you had Donald Trump, you watched the speech, where he actually talked about, he elaborated on how he have achieved peace with 7 countries. The 7 countries, I think, has to do with 14 countries altogether. What is it? Pakistan and India, Rwanda and Congo. Is that, yeah, Rwanda and Congo? And there are so many, about 14 of them, 7 different he has been able to achieve within 9 months. He has achieved peace with countries that have been at each other's throats for 30 to 40 years, between 30 and 40 years. It is supposed to, if you watch the speech, in the speech, he actually made mention of that. That's supposed to be the basic purpose of United Nations. They could not do that. Only Donald Trump achieved that. And even when he achieved that, they say no one gave him a call to even ask for assistance. How can we be of help? And even when he even did that, nobody commended him for that. You see, that is a problem. The United Nations has no purpose. I don't understand why they are just there to actually, it's not just about United Nations. Anything that has to do with United Nations, the World Trade Organization, they are responsible for the World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization has failed. World Health Organization, they are responsible for the health of the global health system. It has also failed. We all know what happened during the COVID. How China used World Health Organization to manipulate the entire world. And as a result of that, World Health Organization gave out information, false information, fake informations. And that is why Donald Trump has defunded World Health Organization. Of course, Donald was US in his first term. He defunded it. Their contribution, he refused to contribute their annual quota because they are the highest contributor. And this one, now that he came again, they have done the same thing. So you know that Donald Trump, and that's exactly blistering attack. He does everything that has to do with the global entity, the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization, the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization, the United Nations. These 3 arms, they have failed in all their basic responsibilities. So,
not far-fetched. It is easier for the United States as a superpower singularly to solve a problem than for the United Nations to solve that problem.
What an irony.
For the simple fact that there must be unanimity in every resolution of this the United Nations. And everybody goes there with his interest.
Yeah.
China has their interest, Russia has their interest, Britain and US and Germany, they all have their interest. So for all these interests to coalesce, look, go back to Kosovo. United Nations could not solve the Kosovo problem. It was NATO under the leadership of the US. It was outside. That problem was outside the United Nations. NATO took
now,
it
my
upon
question comes back to you, Barrister.
to
Do
solve
you
that
think
problem.
United Nations should remain?
Well, United Nations should remain for now.
Why?
Because
Give me reason. Are they achieving their purpose?
I'm giving the reason. As much as it has not achieved its aim, it is still a forum of discussion. And if you rate it in terms of 100%, you give it 30%. That 30%, that 30% is still a contribution to world peace.
Do you know?
Way
No, I disagree with you, because do you know what the United Nations is responsible for so many things that are happening globally? What United Nations do, let me tell you one thing, that is one of the reasons why they do not achieve, just like you said, they come with individual interest, selfish interest. Now, this is why they have not been able to achieve any peace. I cannot find any record where United Nations have successfully achieved any peace. You know why? Because at the end of the day, they come with some of them, they actually want the war. They desire it. They crave it. They prefer the war to continue. And that is why when such thing happens, you see them taking sides. That technically you see United Nations taking sides. In some situations, they are it's not explicit. And in some, you just clearly see that, especially in the case of Israel, you just see it happening, that the United Nations is actually siding with one side, siding with a country against the other. That's exactly what, look, I do not see the need. In fact, there is a growing call for the US to pull out of it, and that will be much better because there is nothing. They have done nothing. They are doing nothing. They are fueling crisis all over the world. All they want to do is a global order. They are responsible. I'll play another. We'll go to the next one now that has to do with both climate change and the border. All these things are the responsibility. All these things are being hatched at the UN. The evil going on in the world right now is being hatched, perpetrated from the UN, United Nations.
The UN has been hijacked. It has been hijacked by some, you can call it a conspiracy theory, but it's very apparent that the UN has been hijacked by some secret forces. Because just like you tabulated, the World Health Organization wants to take the world to a place that is not acceptable. The same with the World Trade Organization. The same with World Economic Forum. All these things are not, they're based on some things that are dangerous to the world as a whole. But they are being propagated. Like the climate hoax